He waited 2 years for a girl who was never fully his to begin with. She made him promises she had no intention of keeping the moment her first love walked back into her life. She left him without warning, came back when she got lonely, and called it friendship. What she didn't expect was that the next time she came crawling back, he wouldn't be waiting anymore. He'd already moved on, and she would find out in the worst possible way. This is a story about loving someone who was never really choosing you, and what happens when the one person you thought would always come back finally stops. Adam met Layla in his second year of university, in a shared elective class neither of them particularly cared about. She was funny, sharp, the kind of person who made ordinary conversations feel like inside jokes within 5 minutes. He fell for her almost immediately. What he didn't know was that Layla had spent the last year recovering from a relationship with someone named Faraz, her first real love, who had moved abroad for work and promised to come back for her. He never did, or at least not yet. Layla liked Adam. That part was real. He was steady, attentive, easy to talk to in a way Faraz had stopped being toward the end. Over months, they grew close, talking every day, late-night calls, the slow build of something that felt, to Adam, like it was becoming a relationship. Layla never corrected that assumption. She let him believe they were building toward something serious, even as she kept a quiet, unspoken door open for Faraz, just in case he ever came back. She made promises, told him she saw a future together, told him he was different from anyone she'd dated before. Adam believed every word because he had no reason not to. He didn't know about Faraz. He didn't know he was standing in a space she hadn't actually closed off to someone else. For almost a year, things were good, at least from where Adam stood. He had no idea he was the placeholder for someone she hadn't let go of. Faraz came back. Not permanently at first, just a visit. But it was enough. Layla's texts to Adam slowed from daily to occasional within 2 weeks. The calls that used to last hours turned into short, distracted check-ins. Adam asked if something was wrong. She said she was just busy with work. 3 weeks later, she told him, almost casually, that she didn't think they should keep talking the way they had been. No real explanation. No mention of Faraz at all. Adam spent the next several days replaying every conversation, trying to find what he'd done wrong, never landing on the actual answer because she never gave it to him. What he eventually found out, through a mutual friend months later, was that Layla and Faraz had gotten back together almost immediately after his return, picking up exactly where they'd left off years earlier, as though the entire year she'd spent with Adam had simply been a placeholder, while she waited to see if Faraz would actually follow through this time. He had been right. He'd just been right about the wrong relationship. Adam didn't reach out. He didn't ask for closure. He just disappeared from her life the same quiet way she'd disappeared from his. Except he meant it permanently, while she'd only meant it until something better came along. Things with Faraz didn't last the way Layla had hoped. The same pattern repeated itself. Distance, inconsistency, promises that didn't hold, and within a year, he was gone again. This time for good. Layla found herself alone in exactly the way she'd left Adam alone, except now there was no one waiting in the background for her to come back to. She reached out to Adam nearly 14 months after she'd ended things, framing it as checking in, as old friends catching up. He responded, carefully, politely, but he responded, and slowly they started talking again, not as a couple, but as something that resembled friendship, the kind where old feelings sit quietly underneath every conversation, without either person naming them. For Adam, it wasn't really friendship. He had never fully moved past her, even after the silence, even after finding out about Faraz. Talking to her again reopened something he thought he'd closed. He told himself this was just two people being mature about their history. He didn't admit, even to himself, that he was hoping this was leading somewhere. Layla, for her part, had grown comfortable treating Adam as the safe option, the person who would always eventually answer when she reached out, regardless of how long the silence had lasted or how it had ended. She wasn't lying this time, not exactly, but she also wasn't being honest about how much she was leaning on his consistency without offering the same back. She started talking about maybe trying again, someday, when things felt right. Adam started letting himself believe that someday might actually come. What Layla didn't know was that Adam, around 8 months into reconnecting with her, had started seeing someone else, a coworker named Sana, slowly and without any urgency to make it public. He never mentioned it to Layla directly, partly because their relationship was undefined enough that it didn't feel necessary, and partly, if he was honest with himself, because some part of him wanted to see what Layla would do once she found out he wasn't just sitting there waiting for her anymore. Layla found out the way these things usually come out. A mutual friend mentioned, without thinking much of it, that Adam had been engaged for the last 2 months. Sana's family and his had already met. They'd already set a date. She called him immediately. He let it go to voicemail twice before answering. When he finally did, she asked, almost accusingly, why he hadn't told her. He answered calmly, no anger in his voice at all, which somehow landed harder than anger would have. He told her that she'd never actually asked what he was doing with his life. During the year she came back into it casually, only ever asking enough to know he was still available if she needed him to be. He told her that he'd waited for her once, for real, and that he wasn't going to spend a second time waiting for someone who only came back when her other option ran out. She asked if there was any chance, any version of this where he reconsidered. He told her, gently but without hesitation, that the version of him who would have said yes to that question didn't exist anymore. That version left when she did, the first time, and never fully came back even when he did. Adam married Sana the following spring. By all accounts from people who know them, it's the steady, mutual kind of relationship he never quite had with Layla. The kind where both people are actually choosing each other in real time, not keeping each other as a backup plan. Layla, as far as mutual friends can tell, hasn't been in a serious relationship since. She talks sometimes about how she wishes she'd taken things with Adam seriously the first time, before Faraz came back and reset everything. People who know the full story tend to have the same reaction. She had her chance more than once, and chose to keep it conditional both times. Sometimes the most lasting consequence isn't a confrontation or a courtroom. It's simply someone finally being unwilling to be the option you come back to once everything better has run out. If you've ever been someone's backup plan, or finally found the strength to stop being one, tell me about it in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, make sure you're subscribed, because there's a new betrayal and a new revenge waiting for you every single week. I'll see you in the next one.